of Erol Morkoc. Is there more to all of this? Erol Morkoc, this sort of consistent Trump talk and oil retreats, there's a pattern here, and I'll be very blunt because that's what I am. Is all this being done because there are certain individuals that are benefiting financially? There's speculation going on.
So your concerns are valid, and they're shared not by just myself or other people, but just look at Twitter accounts like Unusual Whales, who oftentimes point out these discrepancies. Recently, we had a trader make $1.5 billion futures bets right before these things. So I think we need to separate two things. One, do I believe that the President of the United States is acting on behalf of rogue traders or anybody in his administration? Absolutely not. It's a minuscule amount of sum compared to what's going on. It would be easily tracked, especially with the chain of custody tools we have. On the second hand, does it seem like, based on the open source intelligence data we have on trading trading algorithms, unusual wallets that open up long polymarket positions right before these events happen, that absolutely should be questioned. There must be some people who are either getting inside information or have some conduit. That is criminal behavior, and criminal behavior happens in everything from army procurement all the way down to city level contracts. But that is not at all implicating the Trump administration in some sort of behind the scenes way to make a few extra bucks. There's two separate things there. But to point it out is valid and something that every American has been noticing.
Sushant Sareen, where do you stand on this? Because look, inside tips, information is power. There's obviously somebody, if one were to go by what Erol is saying, there's obviously someone gaining. And he's gaining or she's gaining because they have some insider knowledge.
So, Rahul, there are a couple of things out here. One, markets do take their cues from events and from remarks of people, right? That's a no-brainer. Secondly, the problem has been that in a case like Donald Trump, he is fastest finger first. He's like constantly issuing some statement or the other, and markets are reacting to it. So that is the second part. And I will not attribute any wrongdoing out there. The suspicion comes in, or there is an element of insinuation that Trump and some of his associates have been alleged to have dubious dealings with all kinds of, in all kinds of things, whether it is the crypto market, how they play the market, stuff like that. So there have been these insinuations which have been made against the president, his family, some of his cronies, some of his associates. Those allegations are there. They're swirling around. I'm not saying that those allegations are correct or not, but what happened yesterday was crazy. Look, the point is that when Trump gets up in the morning and he starts talking about talks are going on, and somebody has placed a bet just 15 minutes before he's tweeting something. Now, if you are really naive, you'll think this was pure coincidence. But otherwise, it smacks that somebody has gotten to know and has placed his bets and has been careful enough to layer it in a way that it's not going to be easy to track him down. Unless somebody actually starts investigating those bets. And frankly, if you're doing it often enough, every $1 billion bet, if you do it about 20 times, that's $20 billion, right? So I suppose it is something which needs to be investigated, because if indeed people close to this administration are playing the market because they've gotten some cues before the rest of the world knows it, then I think that is not just conflict of interest, that is pure criminal behavior.
Well, viewers, remember that this... Yeah, very quickly. Yes, sir.
Very quickly, one thing for your viewers to understand is in DC, there is a low-level staffer for about 72 hours who has the jobs numbers, who has all of the data. This is a nobody person, and being able to get to that person is much easier. That person could be potentially who is leaking this information, because there are low-level staffers who now, with new tools and new manipulation, could be coerced to get that information out, and it's not high-level people who have that information for the last 48 hours, and I think that might be where the leak is.
Well, viewers, look, there is something murky. I'm not trying to draw any direct links to anyone, but this is a matter of great concern. And it further muddies, viewers, any motives for prosecuting peace. Are there vested interests who are making money out of war? Is this actually helping their cause? And how much of an influence have these vested interests on people like Trump and his inner circle? Because if it's disproportionate, viewers, then this war can splutter on. And a lot of people can profit. And we've seen this in the past. So this is nothing earth-shattering. And if that is indeed the case, viewers, then one has to wonder whether this war has been prosecuted on principles or, viewers, on something graver. I leave it for you to think this through. I've shown you the data. It is interesting, these interventions. Now, whether Mr. Trump is being altruistic or he has a vested interest, I can't say.